Hey guys, how's it going? Matt here, and today we're going to be reviewing the RowElite heart rate monitor watch. Now, I would say it's towards the top end of the affordability scale. It's about £163 is what I paid for off Amazon. That doesn't come with a chest strap. If you want to get the chest strap, you'll have to remortgage your house because it does come in about £60. I didn't purchase the chest strap because I wanted to see how accurate the heart rate sensor was actually built into the watch. Now the watch is actually pretty small, it's nice, it's lightweight, it's got a rubber strap, a plastic front. Other reviewers say it looks quite cheap because of those two elements, but I actually think it's lightweight, it's waterproof, it fits its purpose. The heart rate sensor is actually on the back of the watch, and you wear it just below the wrist bone. So that's what I'm going to be testing today. So we have to take that into account, that I won't be wearing a chest strap. All the readings are going to be coming straight from the watch on my wrist. And we're going to be using several different sources so we can compare the results. We're going to be using the Samsung app on my phone. We'll be using numerous web sources to compare the calorie counts and stuff like that. So hopefully we can compare, contrast, and find out how accurate this thing is and see if it's actually worth that price tag of £163. Now, it is touchscreen, it is full color. The one thing I would say is that the touch sensitivity of the screen is a little bit on and off. Sometimes it's super sensitive, sometimes it's not very sensitive at all, so you get into positions where you're trying to swipe it several times, nothing happens, and then suddenly it skips a load. The area where that is most noticeable is when you're trying to select the workout that you're about to do. So on the watch you can store up to 10 activities. A few of those that I have is outdoor rowing, indoor rowing, running, walking, swimming, and yoga. So if I want to do my yoga fasted in the morning, then I want to do the indoor rowing. When I go to swipe to the indoor rowing, sometimes it takes several swipes and then it will skip all the way to running at the end. So it can be a little bit annoying. It doesn't take too much time out of your day, but you just want that sensitivity to be a little bit crisper considering the price tag that you're paying. Now, let's get into the watch itself. So once you turn the watch on, you're greeted by this nice clear picture, and the picture that comes up is the picture you last left it on. So for this instance, I had it on the activity settings. When you click on that activity by tapping the screen, it will show you your foot count and the calories that it thinks you've burnt that day and how active you have been. The next screen is the heart rate. Now this watch actually measures your heart rate 24 hours a day. It's constantly taking it. It will show your max and your average, and it will also show your lowest resting heart rate when you were asleep at night. Next up, you've got your training session sort of log. It will tell you when your last training session was, and if you just tap on that, it will bring up all your most recent workouts. Now these workouts can also be synced to the PolarFlow app. Very simple to do. I normally sync my watch to the app and it transfers all the data over. But on your watch, if you click on one of those workouts, it will bring up all the data from that workout. For example, this one was a row I did a couple of days ago. It will show your average heart rate, your max heart rate, the time and the date, and how many calories it thinks you have burned. So right there was an example of it skipping. I wanted to scroll down and it jumped a little bit. Now we're into the walking. Again, it will show you the average heart rate, the max heart rate, the different zones you've been in, and what it thinks your calorie count was. So that's one thing we're going to look into later, because I actually think that, if you're walking for 60, 75 minutes, you're not going to be burning the calories that this watch is maybe saying. So that's one thing to bear in mind. Sometimes the calories actually look quite good. Sometimes they look a little bit over the top. Next up, we've got this little feature that I don't use too much, but the thing is it does it by itself every night, so you don't have to worry about it. This part of the watch actually tells you your sleep quality. Sometimes in the morning it will ask you, hey, are you awake? And you click a tick, so it knows when you've woken up, but it doesn't actually ask you, hi, are you actually going to bed now? Like, what's going on? What's the deal? So I don't know how the watch figures out when you're actually in bed sleeping and when you're actually getting up to start your day rather than getting up to get a drink or to go to the bathroom. So for some of these, I've been up late sometimes running training programs, and I'll go to bed at sort of 11, 12 o'clock midnight. And when I look back in the morning, the watch thinks that I went to bed at sort of 1:30 in the morning. And again, it thinks I woke up at 5 a.m. when realistically I got up at 7. Now the next part, this is what I think is really cool. So this is actually called the Fit Spark. And based off the activity you've done that day, the Fit Spark will tell you what it thinks your next session should be. And along with that, it will give you a list of workouts and times of workouts of what it wants you to do. And once you click on those workouts, it will come with these really cool core movements and a diagram of actual moving stickmen to show you how to perform that movement, which I think is super cool. It's also in color and it's built into the watch, so it's a win-win. So I think that's really cool. Now, if you actually touch the button on the side of the watch, it'll bring up this list of features. So on there, you can select your workout. It's got a cool breathing function. It's got all the usual timers and stopwatches. It's got a fitness test that apparently measures your VO2 level. And at the very bottom, it's got the settings, which is where you'll sync your watch to the app. So for those of you that have been following my channel for a while, you will know that I am a full-time athlete, I'm a full-time rower, and so I'm going to be testing this watch predominantly for its capabilities and how it's going to help me perform in a rowing aspect. And we've also got to bear in mind that we are still in lockdown, so there's a lot of things that I can and can't do, like I can't go to the local leisure centre and jump in the pool there. They're all shut, but what I can do, I've got an ergo right behind me, I can do lots of training on that. We're allowed out of the house for essential shopping and for one bit of exercise a day. So I've been going for at least 60 to 75 minute walks every day. So they're quite handy areas, so I can test the GPS settings on the watch, I can test the step count, and I can test the different heart rate zones on the ergo. I've used it for quite a few days in a row now, and on each day I've been playing around with the intensities that I've been doing the workouts, and I have been seeing correlations in the heart rate. So even though I'm not using the strap, I'm still seeing clear results from the watch. I haven't got any results that have been completely outrageous compared to the others. They're all very similar, the max and the average, depending on whether I'm pushing on or backing off. So without further ado, let's get into the testing aspect. And first up, I'd like to show you the results I found using the rowing machine. So as you can see, we've opened up the Polar Flow desktop version. You can get it on the app form on your phone, which is what I do use on my day-to-day, but for some reason I couldn't get the screen recording to transfer over onto the computer. So we're making the most of the situation, and it's super simple to sync your watch to your phone. I do this every 2 to 3 days when I'm actually charging the watch up. It's very simple to do. You just leave it on the side, it uses Bluetooth, sends all your data over to your phone. That will obviously automatically upload to your desktop version as well. When you click on the desktop, this will be your welcome screen, your home screen, and it's your workout diary. And for me, I like to see the week as a whole, to see all the training you've done in the week, and it actually shows you the time of the day you've actually done those workouts, which I think is really cool. Now, if you wanted to see a specific exercise you've been doing, but you've got a whole month's worth of activities to choose from, what you want to do, you want to move to your training history. You want to move over to select the sport, and for me, I want to look for rowing. So I'm going to go down, all the way down to rowing, indoor rowing specifically, because I haven't been out on the water. Give that a click, and it brings up all your indoor rowing sessions in one place. You can see the dates that you've been doing the exercise, you can see the durations, you can see your average heart rates, and you can see the calories burnt. Now, what I like to see is the average heart rates. Now for me, these all look very close together. So when I started, I hadn't trained in a while, so I was expecting the heart rate to be slightly higher. And as I've gone over the day, so then I pushed on the speed here, heart rate didn't change, pushed on the speed again, heart rate went up a little bit, pushed on the speed again, heart rate maintained. Then I did a session straight through with no breaks. So the average heart rate would have been higher anyway because there was no rest period in the middle. And then I backed off, split it in half again, but pushed on the speeds. And then I relaxed a bit and then I relaxed a bit. So when I pushed on, the heart rate went up, and when I backed off, the heart rate came down. So even without the chest strap, the wrist was still giving me very accurate readings. And to me, this is very tightly bound together. You know, we're sort of talking 10 beats difference on the average, which to me isn't a lot at all. The next thing we want to look at is the calories burnt. Now, when I first looked at this, I wasn't sure what to make of the calories burnt. When you use this Polar Flow app, you actually type in your age and your weight and how active you think you are. So it has all the data it needs to sort of try and work out an accurate calorie burnt. On top of that, it also has access to your heart rate, which other platforms necessarily wouldn't have. So if we wanted to find a comparison and see how accurate these calories are, then obviously we'll have to find other sources of information and see how those calories burn compared to these. So the one that we're going to take for an example today is this one on the 20th of the 4th, where I burned 785 calories for that 45-minute workout. In comparison to that, straight away when you finish your workout, you can look at the monitor on the ergo screen, and if you change through the units, then that will actually tell you what it thinks you've burned for that session. And so when I did that, the ergo monitor was actually telling me I burned 862 calories. Now, if I wanted to get a more accurate result, then I actually went to the Concept 2 website, and on there they have a calorie calculator where you type in your weight, your calories per hour, and the total duration of the workout. Tap calculate, and that will actually tell you what they think you burn doing your workout on the rowing machine. Now, when I did that, that actually came out at 917 calories for the 45-minute workout, which is quite a lot higher than both the ergo monitor and the Polar watch. Now, the last one I used was MyFitnessPal, which I've been using to track my calories. On there, they have some pre-recorded exercises. You can scroll through there, find the exercise you've done. There isn't a rowing exercise that you can select. I selected moderate effort and I typed in 45 minutes, and that actually came back and said that it thought I burnt 514 calories. So the MyFitnessPal app was the lowest out of all of them. And based off what Concept 2 are saying and what the Polar watch are saying, I'm actually saying that the Polar watch is actually pretty accurate when it comes to indoor rowing. And if anything, it's on the lower side, which for me is almost a good thing. I think if you're someone who is sort of tracking your calories, what you're eating, and also interested in tracking the calories that you're burning when you're working out, you're someone that wants to lose weight and so you're trying to work at a calorie deficit, it's almost quite good to err on the side of the lower readings, like rounding down, rather than thinking, oh, I've burnt 900 calories, I can eat this meal for 800 calories and I'm still 100 calorie deficit. But in actual fact, you've only burned sort of 785. So, you know, I always try and err on the side of the lower value. So I think that's quite accurate for the Polar watch. Now, next up, we're going to jump into the walking. So once again, what you want to do, you want to go up to your drop down toolbar. We want to get rid of the rowing and we want to move to walking. So if we scroll down, just tap on walking. And just like the indoor rowing, we've got all our walking sessions from the previous week. As you can see again, you've got the durations, you've got the total distance walked, you've got your average heart rates, and you've got your calories burnt. Now this is the one that I'm not too sure about. So I thought the calories burnt for the rowing machine were pretty accurate. But when it comes to walking, I wasn't walking very fast. This one here was my first walk and it was my longest walk. I don't think that this heart rate is very accurate. But I think as the days progress, it gets more and more accurate. So I think from sort of the 19th through to the 24th, we got a nice tight band. And I was walking the same distances for much the same time. So to me, these ones look much more suited to the sort of exercise I was doing. I was walking about 12-minute kilometer pace, 12.5-minute kilometer pace. And it was saying that I was burning anywhere from 541 calories right through to 678 calories. So to me, compared to the rowing aspect, I think that these calories are a little bit high for the work that I was doing. Now, to measure how accurate these calories burn are, I actually used the fitness I think it's called the Fitness Pal app. It comes ready installed on your Samsung phone. And so I used that to compare with my Polar Watch. So when I went for my walk, I would click them both at the same time, and that will give me a good idea of sort of the GPS, the step count, the total duration, the total distance, and most importantly for me at the moment, the calories burnt. So the data I used for everything was a 12.5-minute pace. Now, obviously, when you look at the Polar Watch, it's anywhere from 541 to 678 calories burnt for about an hour of walking. Like some of the days I would stop off at the shop, so I combine my daily bit of exercise with my shop. But if I wanted to compare it to my Samsung phone app, that actually calculated 360 calories at a 12:36 pace and 5.5 kilometer walk. So that's quite a big difference. That's maybe half of what the Polar Watch is telling me I'm burning. So that's quite a big difference. You know, again, if you're someone who's trying to work in a calorie deficit to lose some weight, if you're thinking you're burning 600 calories, but in reality you're burning closer to 300, 400 calories, then you're not going to be achieving sort of your end result of losing weight. You're actually going to be putting on weight. So the other one I used was an internet source. It was just a fitness walking app that I managed to find just searching through the internet. In there you type in sort of your pace of how fast you're walking and the duration of the walk, and you can also put in your body weight, so it give you a much more accurate result. And when I did that for a 12.5-minute pace over 5.6k, it said 370 calories, and for an 11-minute pace it was saying 406 calories. So again, those are quite a lot lower than what the Polar Watch is telling me. So if I'm looking at it from an aspect of the calories burnt, I'm not too sure that the Polar Watch is that accurate when it actually comes to walking. I think it overestimates the calories that you're burning. So if you click on the workout itself, it will bring up your information in more depth. Now, as you can see here from the walk, it's got my heart rate, it's got my pace, it's got my cadence, and it's got my altitude. But what it doesn't include is your step count. Now, for me, that seemed a little bit odd because considering the watch is always monitoring your step count in the activity settings, I don't know why it wouldn't include those in your workout. So if I was going to go for a walk like I did, you know, for me personally, I would like to see my step count in there as well. I mean, maybe from this information you don't necessarily need that, but if the watch is already counting your steps, why wouldn't they just include it in the workout summary from your walk? Now, if I compared that to the Samsung app does do that. It shows you your calories burn, it shows you your altitude, it shows your cadence, your pace, what it thinks your heart rate should be. You can actually touch the light on the back and it will give you a reading of your heart rate. It also does the altitude, and it includes the step count. So I don't know why the Polar Watch can't do that. So last up, we want to look at the yoga. So once again, go to the drop-down menu, type in yoga, and it will bring up all the sessions that you've been doing over the last couple of days, the durations, the heart rates, and the calories. Now, the one thing I'm looking at with yoga specifically is, again, the heart rate and the calories. Now, for me, the heart rates, again, look in a nice tight bound. I tend to alternate between sort of an upper body focus, a back strengthening focus, a glute focus, core stability, and a mobility. So these heart rates can vary depending on how hard I find those different elements that I incorporate into the yoga sessions. My sessions are anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes depending on how groggy I am when I get out of bed. But the only place that I could find sort of reliable information to tell me how accurate these calories burn are was, the first one was Harvard. So Harvard did a study on lots of different sports and the calories they had burnt. Now, I looked up indoor rowing first to see how sort of reliable this information was, and it did tie in very closely to the results we've been finding. So based off that, I went on and included their results for yoga into this. Now, the thing to bear in mind is that their study for yoga went up to a 185-pound person. I'm obviously quite a bit bigger than 185 pounds. So if they were doing this study on me, then I would naturally burn more calories during that time. Now, the yoga they chose was the very basic form of yoga, sort of the beginner's yoga, which is what I've been doing. And they are thinking that for a 185-pound person, you can burn up to 178 calories for the session. So I was surprised by that because I thought it would be closer to sort of the 120 mark, and that's obviously a 185-pound person. Now, when I looked up I found just a random health magazine online that had a yoga calculator built into it. So just to have a look, I typed into that my body weight, the sort of yoga I was doing, and the duration that I was doing it for, and that came out 125 calories. So in actual fact, when I look back at the calories burned on the watch, it doesn't seem that much different. You know, for the half an hour is at the very bottom, you've got the 115 calories. That looks pretty spot on. You know, on the 20 for the 4th, you got 120 calories. Again, that looks pretty spot on. At the very upper ranges, you got 199 calories. You know, the one second up, 517, that wasn't actually 70 minutes of yoga. I think I left my watch running by accident. Again, that was another 30 minutes. So that one is none void. It doesn't matter at all. The very top one, 272. Again, that's when I was coming back into training. So maybe my body was feeling more stressed. You can see my heart rate's quite high, but it's not the highest, so I'm gonna get rid of that one as well. That one doesn't seem very accurate. But if I compare the 178, the 125, and then my rough readings, that may be coming out about 150, then I'll probably say that the Polar Watch, again, is quite accurate. So to round up all the information that we found in the results, I'm gonna put at the bottom, I'm gonna put the indoor rowing, the walking, and the yoga, and in there I'm gonna put in the results from the different sources that I've found, so you yourself can see the comparisons. Now, if I want to get into the watch itself and if I want to give it an overall rating, I actually quite like the watch. Now, I've had it for a couple of weeks. I have enjoyed using it. I think it's very intuitive, and once you get used to it, it is a good watch. It's having it on your watch and not having to worry about a chest strap, for me, it's very helpful. I mean, when I used to use chest straps, there'd be plenty of times when I'd go to the gym, whack it on, and find out that the chest strap has run out of battery. And that was always a real nuisance. But not having to worry about that and just tapping a button on your watch, or on your wrist, it is very helpful, and it just speeds up the whole process a lot more. But I think if I was to judge it on the looks, I would probably give it sort of a 7.5 out of 10. I think it looks nice, it fits the purpose, it's lightweight, it's clean, it's easy to look after, it's waterproof. I like the display, it's nice and colourful. I think that the sensitivity is a little off. If that got better, then maybe I'll give it an extra mark. The price-wise, I still think that sort of if it was about £150, then I'd probably put it an 8 out of 10, because I do think it's a good watch. It's got lots of functions in it. It seems fairly accurate. You just got to take into account some of those calories burnt, and if I was erring on the side of caution, I'd always round those down rather than rounding them up. If I bought the heart rate strap, that's another £60 on top of the 160 odd pounds you're paying. So then, you know, you're looking at £220, and I think there probably are better watches on the market for that price. So I would personally stick to just buying the watch without the chest strap, because everything that I was reading from my workouts, you know, it was all accurate. They were very consistent results. They weren't jumping around too much. And then overall, sort of the functionality of the watch and the things on offer, I'll give that sort of a 7 or an 8 out of 10. I think for the price range, you get quite a lot of bang for your buck. I mean, it doesn't have like a built-in app like some of the Garmin watches. It doesn't have built-in music player. But I mean, if you wanted to spend more money and sort of go above £200+, then you can buy the Polar watches that do have sort of the Bluetooth connectivity, where you can actually download some music onto your watch and listen to it. You can have sort of Google Maps. If you ever go out without your phone and get lost, you can find your way back. But I think for the price range that this watch is sort of setting, I think it's good. I mean, you got lots of different functions built into the watch. There's lots of different options. You can have up to 10 workouts stored on your watch, and they're very easy to access. The heart rate is good, the GPS is good. The calories can be a little off, but on the whole, they seem quite accurate. It's lightweight, it's comfortable. So I think overall, you're looking at, again, a sort of a 7 out of 10 for sort of the functionality of the watch itself. I do like the watch, and I'm happy with it, and I will use it regularly. I mean, there's sometimes when I'll obviously forget to use the heart rate, but if it's on my wrist and it's always there, and it's a handy feature to have. If one day you wanted to check up on it and sort of see where your heart rate is in comparison to your steady state, you just tap it and it'll record it for you. So, you know, it's always handy having that on your wrist. But I hope you found this video useful. If you did, leave it a like. If you're new to the channel, then please do subscribe. It's great seeing the numbers grow, and I hope you found it useful. I haven't gone too in depth. I have sort of just focused on sort of the areas of training that I've been doing recently. So I hope it will help all the rowers out there to sort of help you make a decision if you're currently looking for a heart rate monitor to help you with your training during sort of the lockdown or sort of the future of your rowing career. I hope you found this very useful for that. If you have any more questions about it, like drop them down below in the comments and I'll try and answer those. If there's anything that you want reviewing in the future, drop that below in the comments, and if my bank account can afford it, then I'll look into reviewing it for you. But again, if you liked it, leave a like. If you're new, subscribe, and have a good day.